Hey friends, it's Kristi. I wanted to share a couple of headlines as I was working on putting together my LinkedIn newsletter this morning. I've got a newsletter that goes out bi-weekly. I invite you to check it out. There's a lot of data in there, but I wanted to do a quick summation of that as we're in the last business day of June. Can you even stand it? How fast time is moving, and just give you a quick little snapshot, a summary of what I spoke about there. And if you want some additional data, please go check that out. It's on LinkedIn, and I put together a newsletter about every 2 weeks. I try to put the information in there to be a great resource. It's called Home Unaffordability. So as I was putting this together this morning, the biggest headline right now in the real estate industry is still the NAR Proposed Settlement. And I had an amazing attorney by the name of Rachel Alvarez that came and spoke on a webinar a couple weeks ago and shared with some of my realtor partners really about where this settlement, the lawsuit had come from, where we're at now, and where things are looking like they're going. And it's perplexing to me because I'm part of all of these groups on Facebook and LinkedIn and Reddit, and some people are absolutely losing their minds. They think that buyer's agents aren't going to exist. Unfortunately, there's headlines out there that have been since the middle of March talking about how homes are going to be cheaper to sell and more affordable to buy. And nothing could be further from the truth. There's this misconfiguration of the reality of what this proposed lawsuit is and what we're facing. So really what it boils down to is transparency on how commission is charged, what it's for, how it's split. We now are going to have a nationally required buyer's broker agreement. So this states between the buyer's agent and the buyer an agreement on what commission will be out of the buyer's pocket should the listing agent not share a commission or the seller not pay a commission. So that way the buyer's agent knows this is my professional fee, and if it's not paid from here, it comes from you. It's transparency. Everybody's on the same page then, and it works out really, really well. Some states have been doing it since the 90s and have had great success with it. So I'm actually glad that that's going to be a national requirement, because state law changes so much how real estate is done. I know here in Florida, it's very different than, say, New York. Okay, so that was part of that. I kind of debunked some of the headlines that are out there, media really skewing the information and presenting it in a way that's just not accurate. So if you think that you're going to be able to sell your home for 1 or 2% and have buyer's agents showing up at your door with qualified, committed, and ready to go buyers, that is a misconception. So a lot of things are going to be changing, hopefully for the better, but and I say for the better because of the people who don't follow the professional guidelines in which they said that they would. NAR, the National Association of Realtors, holds realtors, as opposed to real estate agents, to a higher set of standards and a specific code of ethics. And some people don't follow along those guidelines. And those are the ones that I believe is the reason for this proposed settlement. But what's interesting to me is what has become like the standard and the norm is what we think it should be, it could be, it needs to be. And that's not always the case, is it? I think it's okay to start seeing things be able to show up in a different way than what it's always been like. Who knows, maybe this is going to be an even stronger industry because of this. But a lot to unfold over the next couple months as we get in front of a new judge and all of this kind of pulls through. So I'm looking at my computer because I've got my notes there from my LinkedIn newsletter. I have a link there for one of the CNN reports that just debunks it slaughters what is true with commissions, and the media was just doing a terrible, terrible job of twisting the truth. But what I showed in this newsletter and what I wanted to talk about today is a couple of headlines, week to date, and then year over year, locally and nationally. So week to date here in Central Florida, the Orlando Regional Realtor Association does an amazing job of every single Monday coming out with what's called the Monday Morning Quarterback. And so they compare week over week change. And it's not always fair to be able to compare one week to the next because there might be a holiday in there. The end of the month tends to be a stronger closing time than, say, the start of the month when it comes to real estate closings. But it is a great way to be able to just keep a pulse on the market. And here's some headlines from the week of June 16th to June 22nd, 2024. When it came to single family homes, so I excluded condos because that's a whole different animal in Florida. But when it comes to single family existing homes, sales of single family homes decreased to 408 closings this week versus the previous week of 456 closings. The median price of the single family home decreased just slightly. It was 4.4%. And the number of foreclosures went from 2 new foreclosures listed to 7 total foreclosures listed. And then when it came to short sales, it went from 0 to 1. And single family inventory increased by 121. And so just single family homes alone had 6,823 homes listed. Now let's move forward and look at May 2023 in comparison to May 2024. Again, still local numbers as opposed to national, but Orlando specifically and Florida is such a sought after, really hot market. I think it's an interesting gauge of what is happening. So let's look at inventory. So inventory means available homes on the market, and this is all inventory. It's inclusive of condos, single family homes, townhomes, duplexes, all of the property types. And as of May of 2024, there were over 10,200 homes for sale, which in May of 2023, there was just over 5,100. So it's almost exactly double the amount of inventory to choose from. Can you imagine? Almost twice as much to choose from in as little as 1 year. But here was what was really perplexing to me. There were less closings with this greater inventory this year than there was last year. This year, we had a total of 2,909 closings, where a year ago, May 2023, 3,150 closings. So a couple hundred less in closed sales, but double the inventory. So why is that? The median price has a really big difference. So the median price current day, or as current as I can get it, May of 2024, was $385,000 here in Orlando. And last year, it was $378,000. So we've also got, in addition to the median price, the average price of a home. So the average price of a home was just over $482,000, where 1 year ago it was $458,000. So interest rates are still in the 7s at this moment of recording, very, very low 7s. I actually got 2 price indicators where pricing worsened 2 different times today since the market opened. So there's some things that are kind of ticking off the market. I'm sure the debate didn't help. But when we look at where rates are at and where prices are at, that is where the home unaffordability comes from. So nationally, we've got a median price of about $419,000, and catch this, it requires about $109,000 in median income or household income in order to qualify for a median priced home. And quite honestly, who wants to have a housing payment of high 3,000s or almost $4,000 for a median priced home? That's not a spectacular home. That's not your dream home. It's just, an average home. So an interesting takeaway from some of the reports that I pulled some of this data from, prices are up 47% since 2020. But really sit with that. The largest single cash outflow outside of our income taxes is typically our housing payment. And the house price is up 47% from just 4 years ago. That's extraordinary and scary. So why is it scary? It's because so many people are now forced to pay greater than 30% of their income towards housing. And so what that's doing is it's taking money away from other things to be able to pay towards those things. So now we're seeing where those people who have credit card holders, 44% of credit card holders are bringing a balance forward month after month rather than paying it off. And they're kind of forced to, with the cost of living, the cost of housing, what's happening with property taxes, homeowners insurance, utilities, food costs, it's getting a little bit tight. So if you're seeing some of those economic reports out there that are saying the jobs report is fantastic and, CPI is doing okay and everything's good, let me tell you, don't always listen to the headlines. I could debunk or fight for, debate for any one side of the coin just by leaving off some additional information over here and really just focus on this one thing. So sometimes the information from the media is very slighted and just wants you to be focused on what looks good, even though it may not be. So National Association of Realtors has something that's called the Home Affordability Index. What does that mean? Anything under 100 is not healthy, and anything over 100 is very healthy. Their current chart just goes back to 2021, but in 2020 it was like soaring. It was like 100. It was the highest I've ever seen. I can't remember exactly what it is. If I can find that, I will share it with you. But as of the content that they're showing here now, in 2021, it was 148. So that's like awesome, right? Current day is just over 95%. So you have to earn more than what the median income is right now in order to qualify for a median priced home. And the final point I'd like to make is the Federal Reserve Governor, Michelle Bowen, has said a few times, she was at a meeting in London a week or two ago, and more recently in an interview, had really made it clear that instead of a rate cut in September, they're more likely looking at a rate hike in September. So the Federal Reserve has really left it kind of untouched the last several times that they've met together about if they're going to increase their interest rate or reduce it, and they've just left it untouched. But now it sounds like, and in order to try to get inflation down just a little bit more, because their goal, again, is 2%, and we're not quite there yet. We're in the mid threes right now. And so in order to get that down, they're thinking one more rate hike. So the Fed funds rate is really that short-term money. This is why banks are paying higher now than they had in the last few years on CD rates, money market accounts, those kinds of things, savings accounts. Because they are charging overnight. The Fed funds rate is that overnight rate, and it's higher, so they can afford to pay you a little bit more. But we're also paying more when we borrow money. So that short-term money, like on credit card and revolving accounts, home equity lines, those things are tied to the prime index rate that moves in tandem with the Fed funds rate. So when the Fed funds rate goes up, so does the prime index rate. So if they meet in September and their rate goes up, make sure that you are prepared for the fact that your home equity line interest rate and your revolving cards or your credit cards interest rate, that APR is going to go up. When it does change, your creditor has 45 days. They'll make a notification to you in writing and saying, hey, in 45 days, your interest rate is going to go up because it's variable. So keep that in mind. It is separate from mortgage interest rates. So traditionally, a 30-year mortgage interest rate is tied to the 10-year Treasury yield index. And it's a whole different metrics than the other ones that we've been talking about. But they do tend to dance along the same kind of path, if you will. So if the Fed funds rate goes up, thus the prime index rate goes up, we might find that the 10-year Treasury yield will go up as well. So it's been a battle trying to figure out what's going to happen next. There were a lot of discussions about how interest rates were going to come down this year. The mortgage interest rates were going to come down this year. Then it was, well, maybe 2025. Now they're saying maybe 2026. Nobody has a crystal ball. We need to stop trying to pretend like we can figure out all of this stuff and just prepare best for what we know now to be true and how to hedge our risk in the future. So I'd love to know your thoughts about this information. I hope that it was delivered in a way that makes some good sense. And I want to share with you, if you are looking to buy or sell anywhere in the nation, I have a network of realtors that would be thrilled to work with you, and we can introduce you to the right fit for the needs that you're looking for. So whether you're an investor, buying your first home, or you need to help with selling mom's home. We can help introduce you to the right network of people. And if you're looking to finance your dream home, whether it's a refinance or a purchase loan, anywhere in the country, reach out to me. I can help direct you to the right program, the right product. And I've got a team ready to help serve you. Look forward to the next video to share some more information with you. Have a great one.